Hello viewers, Super GT here. Okay, we have another week of racing on Gran Turismo Sport. We have another opportunity for another car to dominate the leaderboards on one of the daily races. And on race B, this time it is of course a Toyota, the Supra to be precise. And you can see there, it's taking up the top 10 positions and probably the top million positions. If we're honest, the best way to beat the Supra is to be the Supra. So I'm going to choose the Supra in order to beat all these Supras. Look how many Supras there are. It's basically the Toyota Supra Cup. Drinking game for how many times you say Supra. Everyone's dead by now. So if you're still here, then I don't know how you're still here, but well done. You've probably been playing all my old drinking games and somehow survived all of those and built up a really strong tolerance to alcohol. But anyway, here we go from 4th on the grid. So the track is Kyoto, the cool Japanese fictional circuit. I really actually like this circuit. It's a cool track, good for racing. We had this a while back, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, but it was the reverse version of this one. So it's good to see it back. Good circuit for racing. Let's see if we can do some racing and beat as many Supras as possible. As we come down towards the chicane, we're going to go up the inside of the Finnish driver and move up into 3rd. And you can see there as we went through, getting 2 wheels on the grass and getting the car a little bit unsettled, although actually taking grass is actually the best line. I watched the #1 time in the world and it's basically pure filth. It's pretty much a Toyota Supra lawnmower essentially. So you do need to get friendly with the grass if you want good lap times. You see it here, and that looks slow but it's actually quick because you're getting on the power early and the grass doesn't really slow you down. That's just the way they've made the game. So end of lap #1, moving into 3rd. So we're beating quite a few Supras at this precise moment in time. Up into 3rd. Let's see if we can move up into 2nd and then maybe up into 1st, although that might be quite an ask at this point. It is only a short race. Race B is never too long. It's normally about 7 or so minutes in length. So you don't really have too much time to get the job done. We are going to get the job done here though, up into 2nd place, go a little bit deep, although come back from that late apex as you walk through that corner. And Kyoto is characterised by those long sweeping corners, so you need to get good at taking long sweeping corners if you want to get good at taking Kyoto. You see the grass line used to perfection. We do have the guy on our tail, as you can maybe just see by the radar, and have a quick look behind just to make sure he's still there, and he is very much lurking in our wake. So we just move away from him there as he makes a mistake on the exit of the hairpin down the hill into the fast sweeping right-left chicane. Quite a tricky one this, and I thought the guy ahead almost cut that. He must have been 1 pixel away from getting sent to the penalty realm. He keeps it safe just for now. As we come out of the final corner, we are gaining in fact on the leader. As you come across the line, set the fastest lap of the race, a low 33. And again, definitely gaining into the slipstream now. And that could spell game over for this guy, who probably ought to be winning by quite a bit more. But his 2nd lap was a bit scruffy, and it gave me a chance to get back into the race. As again, we come down to the chicane for the 3rd time, hooking up that first curb as you really need to, and a bit tidier through there. Bit of grass through the 3rd apex, but we pull away up the hill, round to the right into the hairpin. I will take a look at my qualifying lap in just a moment. So this is something I have been doing for these videos, showing my quickest qualifying lap, which going into this race was a 33.1, but you'll see in a moment I'll get it down to a 32.8, which is within 7/10, I think, of #1 time in the world. So not too bad a time. I think if I can get within a second, I'm very happy. So to get within 7/10 is very good. final lap now. I made contact through the final corner, so I had to kind of back off and let him go. But we resumed the battle here, coming through the first long corner. And then you've got this long snaking uphill section, which you can take flat without slipstream. With slipstream, it might be a little bit more tricky in this car. But I think if you get it dead right, then you can do it. As we come then into the second of the two long sweeping left-handers. And firmly on his tail, although he's not really made too many mistakes on this lap. As we come over the crest down the hill towards the chicane, this is definitely a point in the race where he could make a mistake. It's very easy to make a mistake through that chicane there, and he doesn't do it on this occasion. Not quite close enough to go for a move from here. As we come into the hairpin, on the brakes nicely, both of us, both clipping that apex, and on the way out get a bit of a slide, and you see that gap just open up. And that's probably a bad time to get a moment like that, as it just opens up that gap and it just gives that guy a bit of respite, a bit of a break. If you're right on their tail the whole time, the pressure is on. And we go for almost a massive, well, it was a massive lunge. Thought I might as well try it. I don't think it's realistically ever going to come off, but you never know. Someone, or sometimes people in front do take quite a wide line and you can just nip up the inside. On this occasion, it's going to be a second. So not quite able to overhaul all of the Supras, but most of them. So finishing second, and the main thing to do really in terms of beating as many cars as possible is to get a good qualifying time. So I'm going to make use of the new feature where you can load a ghost, and well, you could have loaded ghost before, but we're going to load this ghost here, 10th place in the world. And I'm not trying to beat this ghost, to be fair. I'm just trying to help it. I want it to pull me along a bit quicker, if that doesn't sound too weird. And I completely bottled a 33.7, or sorry, 32.7 there, as I was up by 3 or 4 tenths, and just completely messed it up. Okay then, this is the lap number 8. So we've spent a good 11 or so minutes in this session so far. On our first lap, we actually got our fastest lap. We actually beat our previous best on the very first lap, and then it took me until lap 8 to beat it again. So again, the ghost in front that you're seeing is the 10th best time in the world at the time of recording, and it really is it's good to have a reference through these corners. Sometimes it can be distracting, but I think overall it does help to have a ghost who is slightly quicker, as you can kind of use it to just measure your braking points and your apex and everything, and it does, I think, overall help to follow. You see the line there, we're going to pause it twice, as you see just how much grass you have to take to really maximise this circuit. And honestly, take a look at number 1 in the world, it's just pure filth, and you are literally 1 pixel away from not being on the track. Braking halfway down that those letters that are on the track there, just halfway along the letter, brake, and then that should see you into that hairpin quite nicely. The downhill chicane here, quite a difficult one. Braking at pretty much the end of the right-hand curve. Again, using a little bit of grass if you have to on the exit. Back over to the left, braking on the 50. There is a line that goes across the curb, which is actually quite convenient, and coming back for a late apex, and then getting on the power nice and early. And then, if you want a good lap, just stay to the left across the line. And that is a 32.8. Probably could have done a bit quicker. In fact, my optimum was a 32.5 if I hooked together all of my best sectors into one lap. I could have done a 32.5, which it would have been pretty much the same as that ghost. So I know I probably could get top 10 in the world if I really went for it on this specific time trial, but I just guessed I can't be bothered, and time trialing has never been something that I've enjoyed doing. You just kind of have to do it to get a good grid slot. This time around in the Mercedes AMG, thank you very much to Fastkiller 1996, or Fastkiller 996 for making this paint job based on the F4H livery we used in the Spa 24 Hour. So thank you very much for that. And in this race, it wasn't too eventful. We moved up to 3rd from 4th, but it does show you Quinton in the lead used the FT1. So that's another car that we could use. It's another Toyota. Obviously, Toyotas are very good. And there's just an outside shot of that beautiful F4H delivery. originally created by Ash Carrera and then recreated by FastKiller996. So thank you for that. We go for another car then. So we've used the Mercedes, which has been a very good car recently. We have used the Toyota Supra. We then go to the FT1, which Quinton just used. Quinton and Ryan both moved over to the Dodge. Pretty much one of the worst cars you could actually use. So they're going for a bit of a mean team squad from first and second. So this is actually a good opportunity to actually win a race, because that Viper is not going to be quick at all. It's going to be at least half a second off the pace, probably more like 3/4 of a second to a second off the pace around a track like this. So we'll see how this pans out. The FT1, in my mind, has always been a very good handling car. Doesn't have the best straight line speed, especially compared to the Supra. But around a track like this, with lots of long corners, lots of changes of direction, the FT1 should do well. So we'll see if that is going to be the case. Once again, starting in 4th, and it was exactly the same top 4 as it was in the previous race. So we were in together for a couple of races here. So right on the back of ARC Dan's, and he gets a bit of a moment because he keeps it together. Now this is where a bit of lag strikes. He had a bit of lag in the previous race. And just coming into here, well, you see it there, I didn't really touch him, but I guess I have a force field, an aura of death around me, which no one can enter. Otherwise they just get shoved wide, like some weird sort of halo thing. I don't even know what that was. Well, it was lag obviously, but that's not fun. It was more like a halo blast force X9000 X-ray gun thing that I've got around my car. That's basically what that is. That's a much more fun explanation of that situation. So that's what happened there. Hopefully I can use that again on the two Dodges in front. The Viper's not too great. You see by lap 2, quite easily putting onto the back of these two guys. And you see on the previous race where I used the Mercedes, these two guys kind of pulled away by about 2 seconds or so. And this time around, the tables have turned. I've got the better car. They've got an absolute horse of a wagon. They might as well just be riding a horse with a wagon on the back, because it would probably drive a bit quicker than the Viper. As long as they don't absolutely nerf, as long as they don't absolutely nerf the horse and carriage in the BOP update, which they probably would, knowing the way that this game is updated. But Quinton there getting a penalty for some misdemeanour at some point and losing momentum. We go past him just as we cross the line to begin the 3rd lap. And let's see if we can just have a nice clean first corner. You really want to keep it as hooked up as possible to that inside curb without drifting too wide at all. And then through the fast sweeping corners, this car through here quite easily flat out. Doesn't really have to worry about that at all. And then at the end of the first sector we easily got away, and then by the end of the race we easily got away, setting a low 33 on the final lap. So that's one way to beat the Supras, is to have a load of other people choose a Dodge, and then they can just create a nice buffer for you. So we actually win a race for once, and we have obvious proof there that the Dodge is not overpowered at all. But this was a bit weird, because this guy here just asked, kill me now. To which I replied, no problem. So that was a bit of fun. But anyway, we move on to the next race. Now this is going to be the ultimate meme team. We have probably, other than the Dodge, the 3 worst cars, or just 3 shocking cars. The WRX, which is actually, well, it's pretty bad. The Evo, with Ryan there in second. And then I've gone for the forgotten car. The car that no one really knew existed. The car that no one ever chooses. It basically doesn't exist, but it does exist for the time frame of this race. It's the BMW Z4. So 3 cars, 1st, 2nd and 3rd. Can we keep our positions to complete probably the best, or well, the worst podium in history of this game? Up against Supras. We're up against Supras here. We're again hunted down by the OP wagon around this track. Well, it's not OP, it's just very, very quick around this specific track. And to be fair, a lot of other tracks. But well, you decide if it's OP. I guess it is, because most cars on this, in Group 3, to be fair, and Group 4, most cars aren't wholly competitive. Most of them are kind of just off the pace, and then you've got like 3 or 4 cars which are actually just genuinely good, and then the rest are kind of just average or just rubbish. But I thought I was going to lose a position there, as he did up the inside. He gets poor traction off of that hairpin, and we just keep our 3rd place for now. Top 2 are leaving me for dust, and that is not good news, because I really, ideally need the slipstream. I need the tow to help me around this track, which is a bit of a defensive mechanism. Down the straight, I need the extra straight line speed, because the Supra is so damn fast in a straight line. Although not when the driver behind gets a big mistake, and that's not really going to help their cause. So into turn 1, it's looking okay, although we've still got 3 laps to go. It's going to be really difficult. 3 laps of onslaught from Supras around a track where Supra is king. Never going to be easy. Never going to be easy at all. As we come through the fast sweeping S's, take it very wide, and we smack up that curve, and that can really throw you off if you get it wrong. Lucky on this occasion, we don't get sent airborne. Just keep the car under control. So through the second long left, onto the back straight down towards the back chicane. It looks like the guys behind are beginning to fight, and that is actually crucial. That's really helpful, in fact. If the Supras want any chance of winning or getting through this group of awful cars, they need to stop fighting each other. But on this occasion, it looks like the Portuguese guy and the German are going at it, and they're not really interested in beating us, they're interested in beating each other. So that's going to give us a bit of breathing space here. So we just need to get our head down and just try to open up that gap as much as possible. It's still not over. 2 laps to go. The gap at 1.5 seconds, and you might think that's a big gap, but they can easily reel that in a Supra up against a Scheisenwagen that I'm driving here, the BMW Z4. So onto the back straight, back into the slipstream of Ryan, who's begun to drop off. He's moved over to the right. He's going to swerve across as we eventually, at the end of the race, yes, I did cut that ahead there. Very, very clever editing. There we go. The worst podium of all time. WRX, Lancer and Z4. And we actually managed to get the job done. But that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a nice day. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.